Hi, my name is Joep Piscaer. I'm joined here by my good friend Ather after watching Cloudfield Day 10 and participating in Cloudfield Day 10 a couple of weeks ago. And we were, kind of reminiscing, talking about Oracle. I was sharing a story about, basically the old Oracle that, in their behavior wasn't exactly exemplary. And we were kind of measuring that up against the Oracle we saw at Cloudfield Day 10, talking about their public cloud. And what struck us both basically was, there is, it was a good story. That they had something useful to tell. They basically made the case for OCI, for their cloud, and we weren't disappointed. Actually, I think, I was even impressed a little, not because, their cloud is necessarily the best cloud out there, but because there actually is a case to be made for OCI. And one of the reasons why that is because of, surprise, cost. Oracle is no longer the company that'll try and extort large sums of money from you as an enterprise to run their database. They actually may have, for certain use cases, a cost-effective cloud solution. And I'm actually, kind of blown away by that. What's your take, Ather? I'm curious.
No, that's absolutely right. Because in fact, a few years ago, when they started this journey, and viewers can watch in the video as well, that they started. So Revelo Systems is one company that they bought for getting into the VMware side of things. But in general, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, when they started revamping that story and making it more accessible and available to customers, that's why we saw a change in the new Oracle, as we are calling it, open to discussion, open to feedback, not necessarily, forcing you to do things or extorting money, as people might say. And so during the presentation, one thing was quite clear, that networking, for example, that you mentioned, that egress costs are a big thing as well. And people sometimes do forget about those. But just imagine if you are a big organization like Zoom, for example, having a lot of egress traffic, which is hosted apparently on OCI or the compute side of it. So when you're dealing with such amounts of data, any egress costs, it will be the major cost of your cloud. And that's one area where they've taken the approach of not charging as much, because they say, well, networking is like whatever the sunk cost is, and then it's the same everywhere, right? So what Oracle is trying to do is, that's their differentiation. So in terms of networking, if the cost is a major area in your particular cloud, then you might well just benefit from it. Storage costs as well. And they were mentioning that storage is comparatively, and high performance storage is also not as expensive as the compared with the other clouds. And I would encourage everyone to, just whatever the preconceived ideas of the past are. Like any other cloud that you're looking at, when you cost compare the different ones, don't automatically assume that Oracle is going to be more expensive. Go and have a look at that calculator, whatever your use case is, have a look. And maybe the total cost of ownership might actually add up to be either competitive or less. So I would say that, that's definitely something that all customers should be looking at.
Yeah, especially because, it seems like a genuinely acceptable solution, and very recognizable for, people that are still used to dealing with on-prem. So it has all the names, it has all the, the concepts of on-prem infrastructure. So no, they're not charging for egress, because that's not something people are used to in the on-prem world. Storage is fairly cheap, because once you buy it, you can use it and reuse it and keep using it. And so I think it's fairly recognizable. It has a lot of parallels to a hosted service, to your on-prem environment, especially with their VMware solution for Oracle, which we talked about the VMware version of that VMware Cloud on AWS, which we struggled finding the use case for. But again, if you have the use case of just I have to lift and shift away from my data center for whatever reason, VMware on OCI, I forget what the exact name was, but VMware on OCI might as well be a viable solution. It may not have the the future glooming where you can go cloud native, because I don't think Oracle has many cloud native services to offer. But if you need to go into a cloud, if you have an application that has to scale up and down like Zoom does, then it may as well be a valid solution. And I like that in the presentation we saw at Cloudfield 810, they were genuine engineers talking to us about technology, which again makes me feel that there is a new era of Oracle talking about their solution, instead of jokingly Oracle being a company full of lawyers with an engineer here or there. And so I was genuinely amazed that they have come this far in a relative short amount of time. I remember fondly Ravello, Ather mentioned it before, and I think that was only 4, maybe 5 years ago. So yeah, I'm again, I'm impressed.
Yeah, and you know what? The other point I would like to actually very much mention, that we are talking about cost here as well. They've also made quite a few technical differentiations as well, which other clouds are not offering. So I've give you so one option is, so for example, when for the VMware solution or OCI in general. So VMware is one flavor of it, but OCI in general, what they call shapes. So you can have a slider for storage performance and sizing. So whichever size you want. You have different processors, you have different GPUs that you can select. So all of this is very, very customizable. Whereas with other providers, you get a very fixed amount of whichever instance you're going to, depending on the cloud, right? But Oracle is very customizable in that sense. But also when you look at the VMware side of things, all of the other hosted VMware cloud deployments for other clouds don't actually give you root type access, for example. But with the VMware version that Oracle is offering, you get exactly the same kind of access that you would normally have on-premises, backed with very high-speed networking. So for some environments, that might be exactly what you need. And again, there's this differentiation. So they've actually focused not only on cost to customizability, but those kind of differentiations they've created in their offering, so that there is a very good use case for you to go and look at. So they're not just replicating what every other cloud is doing.
And I like that. I like being ballsy in that sense, to at least try and differentiate yourself from the others. I like it, and I still do hope at some point they'll give us a presentation on how they've used the Ravello technologies to be able to give that bare metal access to servers. Maybe it's Ravello, I don't know. Maybe it's SmartNICs, who knows? Let's hope for a presentation on that at Cloudfield Day 11. For now, go watch their videos by Oracle. Techfield.com. The event was Cloudfield 810. I hope you are as amazed as I am by their progress so far, and let's hope they'll do another cool technical presentation at Cloudfield Day 11. For now, this was us. Thank you for watching.